Well, the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services can investigate families who provide transgender medical care to their children for child abuse if the agency chooses. The Texas Supreme Court issued a mixed ruling today, stopping the investigation into one family that sued the state, but overturning the injunction that stopped those investigations altogether. Chuck Lindell, politics reporter for the Austin American-Statesman, joining me now to talk about the ruling. Chuck, thank you for your time.
You bet.
You know, the justices made four, I would say, main points in their ruling. The first dealing with the decision by the appeals court. What exactly did they decide?
The appeals court let an injunction stand that blocked investigations, child abuse investigations in the families that provide gender-affirming care to kids. The Texas Supreme Court today threw out that injunction as it applied statewide. Left it intact for just the one family that sued after they were being investigated for providing care to their 16-year-old child.
You know, in points 2 and 3 of the ruling, the justices point out that the opinion from the Attorney General and the letter Governor Greg Abbott sent DFPS is non-binding. That points to the justices' fourth point, that DFPS has discretion. I want you to break down for us what all of this means.
This all started when Attorney General Ken Paxton issued a ruling, an opinion in February that said that providing gender-affirming care qualifies under the state laws as child abuse. A couple days later, Greg Abbott issued a letter to the Department of Public Family and Protective Services that said, you will now start treating reports of gender-affirming care as child abuse and investigate them. And that very same day, the DFPS said, yes, we will. So a lawsuit ensued from a family, led to a lower court ruling that blocked this practice of having these child investigations. And that underlying case is still going on. The courts still haven't decided whether this is constitutional or not. Today's ruling just focused on one thing, whether that injunction could be enforced.
So because this ruling now from the Supreme Court only really applies, the injunction only really applies to the one family, where does this really leave all of the other families in Texas that have transgender youth, transgender children?
It leaves them wondering if there's going to be a knock on their door from DFPS if they're reported for having provided care to their children. I asked DFPS what they're going to do in response to the ruling. But all they said is they're going to be reviewing it and they would say no more. So we don't know whether or not these cases will be reopened. New investigations will be opened. Lawyers for the family involved really hope that DFPS takes a close look at today's ruling by the Supreme Court and says we're not going to do anything as far as investigations until this plays out in the courts. Because like you said, Texas Supreme Court today specified that Governor Abbott's directive to DFPS to investigate this way is non-binding. They don't have to follow it. They have the discretion on how to handle these cases. And so the lawyers are hoping that they'll simmer down, step back, and let this play out in the courts.
You know, the agency's decision, though, to investigate those 9 families at the time has really had ripple effects, right? You had CPS workers quitting. You have families leaving the state, trying to leave the state. Do you see more of that happening if the agency decides to move forward?
Oh, absolutely. You've also had Democratic prosecutors in Democratic counties saying they will not move forward on cases presented to them involving these abuse allegations. And yes, you know, talk to a couple families who are hoping to leave or trying to leave. We know families have left. They believe it's a safety issue for their children.